making me proud. As a Telugu person, I feel proud that Raghu is Raghu. What is crypto, digital assets? Can you run us through that, please?
So the world needs gold ప్రపంచానికి important because it's a very finite asset. Bitcoin seems to be a digital equivalent of gold. The amount of Bitcoin that there will be on the planet is fixed.
What exactly is Bitcoin and how is it used today?
Bitcoin anedi, like a good example of this, all of you have smartphones, right? In smartphones you have applications. Chrome browser noktaru, Gmail noktaru, WhatsApp, all these things are applications. Bitcoin is something very similar. Bitcoin is an application that sits on this system called a blockchain. So if you look at AI, crypto, these are revolutionary technologies unnappudu, everyone in this room, we should take sufficient risk in our careers. Otherwise, we'll be outdated.
నమస్కారం అండి అందరికీ. కొంత తెలుగు కొంత ఇంగ్లీష్ కలిపి మాట్లాడతాం, ఎందుకంటే యూత్ ఉన్నారు ఇక్కడ. వాళ్ళు తెలుగుతో ఎంత కంఫర్టబుల్గా ఉంటారో తెలియదు. ఈరోజు ఈ సెషన్ అరేంజ్ చేసినందుకు ముఖ్యంగా విశాల్ని అభినందించాలి, విశాల్ అండ్ యూత్ కమిటీని. రఘు యార్లగడ్డ, తనకి తానా అవార్డు ఇచ్చిన సంగతి మీకు తెలుసు, ఎక్సలెన్స్. ఈ అవార్డు ఎందుకు ఇచ్చామనేది చెప్పాల్సి ముందు. రఘు ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఇంప్రెసివ్. ఇండియాలోనే బీటెక్ చేశాడు, ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఎంఎస్ ఎలక్ట్రికల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ చేసి తర్వాత హార్వర్డ్ నుంచి ఎంబీఏ పట్టా పొందాడు. గూగుల్ క్రోమ్లో పనిచేసిన తర్వాత ఫాల్కన్ ఎక్స్ అనే బిజినెస్ని ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసి చాలా తొందరగా చాలా శీఘ్రగతిలో అది విజయం సాధించి ప్రోగ్రెస్ అయింది, ఎక్స్పాండ్ బాగా. కరెంట్లీ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎస్టిమేటెడ్ టు బి వర్త్ అరౌండ్ $8 billion, and the digital transactions to the amount about $1 trillion a year. ఇదంతా మాకు అంటే అట్లీస్ట్ నా ఏజ్ గ్రూప్ వాళ్ళకి ఇట్ ఈస్ లైక్ గ్రీక్ అండ్ లాటిన్. ఈ డిజిటల్ అసెట్స్, క్రిప్టో కరెన్సీస్, ట్రేడింగ్ ఇన్ దెమ్, ఏదో మాకు చిన్న చిన్న స్టాకులు కొని అది పెరుగుతుందా లేదని చూసుకోవటమే కానీ ఇంత పెద్ద ఎత్తున ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ చేయటం. బట్ ఈ రంగంలో రఘు సాధించిన విజయం నిజంగా చాలా కొనియాడదగింది. ఒక విధంగా సంభ్రమాశ్చర్యాలకి మనల్ని గురి చేసి, ఇట్ ఈస్ సో ఫెనామినల్ దిస్ సక్సెస్. సో వీ థాట్ that deserves recognition. So that's why TANA awarded him with this achievement award. కొద్దిగా ఫ్యామిలీ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ చెప్పాలంటే, మీకు మను చరిత్ర అనే కావ్యం మీకు గుర్తుండి ఉంటుంది. అలసాని పెద్దన్న గారు రచించింది, చాలా ఫేమస్ కావ్యం. దానిలో ఒక చిన్న సెంటెన్స్ ఉంటుంది, ఏంటంటే అది అసట పుట్టిన చిగురు కొమ్మైన చేవ. అంటే అక్కడ ఉన్న చిన్న మొక్క కూడా పెద్ద చేవగల వృక్షం లాంటిది అని, అంత గొప్పది అని. రఘు అంత మంచి కుటుంబంలోంచి వచ్చాడు. రఘు ఫాదర్ he is one of the people that established Ayush Institute in Vijayawada. He is a leading cardiac surgeon, cardiac anesthesiologist there. Raghu mother, Sarada Devi, షీ హాజ్ ఎంఎస్సి ఇన్ ఫిజిక్స్. ఆంధ్ర యూనివర్సిటీ నుంచి 5 సబ్జెక్టులు అపేర్ అయితే 5 సబ్జెక్టులు గోల్డ్ మెడల్ వచ్చింది తనకి. తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు శారదా ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ అనే సంస్థను పెట్టి దాదాపు 4,000 మంది స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆ సంస్థలో విద్యాభ్యాసం చేస్తున్నారు. రఘు బ్రదర్ కూడా కార్డియాలజిస్ట్. రఘు మేనమామ ఇక్కడ ఉన్న రంగయ్య బాబు ఈజ్ ఎ ఫేమస్ గ్యాస్ట్రోఎంటరాలజిస్ట్ ఇన్ అలబామా. ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే నేను రఘు ఫాదర్ రమేష్, రంగయ్య బాబు మేమందరం క్లాస్మేట్స్ గుంటూరు మెడికల్ కాలేజ్. సో అందువల్ల రఘుని చూస్తే చాలా గర్వంగా ఫీల్ అవుతాయి. చిన్నప్పుడు ఎప్పుడో చూశాను నేను. ఇక్కడ వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఒకసారి విజయవాడ విజిట్ చేసేటప్పుడు చాలా చిన్నవాడు రఘు అప్పుడు. తర్వాత అంతా నేను ఎక్కువగా ఇక్కడ ఉంటాం. అప్పుడప్పుడు వెళ్ళినప్పుడు తన ఇంట్లో ఉండొచ్చు, లేకపోతే కాలేజీలో ఉండొచ్చు, ఇక్కడ ఉండొచ్చు. అందుకని పేరెంట్స్ని చూశాను కానీ రఘుని ఎక్కువ చూడలేదు. సో వీఆర్ వెరీ ప్రౌడ్ ఆఫ్. ఈరోజు ఈ కార్యక్రమం ఫార్మల్గా బిగిన్ అయ్యే ముందు రఘు రఘు హ్యాస్ ఎ లార్జ్ ఫ్యామిలీ హియర్. ఒక ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్ చెరుకు రవి గారు ఉన్నారు ఇక్కడ. ఇప్పుడు ఈ తానా కాన్ఫరెన్స్ అంతటికి ప్లానింగ్ అండ్ కోఆర్డినేషన్, ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ అంతా రఘు గారు చేస్తున్నారు. వచ్చి రఘుని గురించి రెండు మూడు విషయాలు మీకు చెప్పిన తర్వాత విశాల్ విల్ స్టార్ట్ ప్రజెంటేషన్. ముందు క్వశ్చన్ అండ్ ఆన్సర్ సెషన్లో ఉంటుంది విషయాలు. ముందు రఘు కొంత ఇంట్రడక్షన్ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత ఈ విషయం మీద క్వశ్చన్ అండ్ ఆన్సర్ సెషన్ ఉంటుంది. ఈ విషయం మీద మనందరికీ అవగాహన చాలా అవసరమని అనిపించి ఈ సెషన్ ఏర్పాటు జరిగింది. ఓకే రఘు.
థ్యాంక్స్ హనుమయ్య గారు. హనుమయ్య గారు పేరెంట్స్ గురించి చెప్పారు. ఒకసారి మీకు పరిచయం చేస్తాను. సార్ గారు ఇక్కడ ఉన్నారు. అలాగే రమేష్ గారు, శారద గారు మా వైఫ్, కజిన్స్ అనమాట. దట్స్ హౌ ఐఎమ్ రిలేటెడ్. చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి చూస్తూ ఉన్నాను రఘుని. ఐ జస్ట్ వాంట్ టు సే వన్ థింగ్ అబౌట్ రఘు. ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ బీన్ వెరీ క్యూరియస్ అండ్ హీఈస్ వెరీ ఫోకస్డ్ లిజనర్. మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు చూస్తే హీఈస్ లిజనింగ్ వెరీ కేర్ఫుల్. అండ్ అది మనం యూజువల్గా ఒక జనరేషన్ తోటి మేబీ వీ కెన్ టాక్ లైక్ దట్. ఇప్పుడు మా జనరేషన్ తోటి ఈజీగా మాట్లాడగలం, మా ఫ్రెండ్స్ తోటి. అలాగే మా పిల్లలతోటి ఏదో కొంతవరకు మాట్లాడగలం. అలాగే పేరెంట్స్ తోటి ఇలాగే ఈ బ్రిడ్జిలన్నీ కలవటం చాలా కష్టం. ఒక విషయంలో నేను చూసింది ఏంటంటే రఘు ఆ విధంగా హీ కెన్ టాక్ టు ఎనీబడి. ఒకసారి ఒక ట్రిప్లో నేను మా పేరెంట్స్ కూడా నాతో పాటు వచ్చారు. విజయవాడ వెళ్ళాము. వాళ్ళ ఫ్యామిలీని వాళ్ళ ఇంట్లోనే ఉన్నాం. అప్పుడు రఘు, మా ఫాదరు ఈజ్ అన్ ఇంజనీర్, లేట్ చెరుకూరి వీరయ్య గారు. ఆయన రఘు కూర్చుని మాట్లాడటం మొదలుపెట్టాడు. ఆయన అడిగాడు, మీరు ఇంజనీర్ అయ్యండి, మీరు పోయట్రీ ఎలా రాశారు, ఈ ఆర్టికల్స్ అన్నీ ఎలా రాస్తున్నారు, మీరు అలా ఆ ఎంట్రీ ఎలా వచ్చింది దాంట్లోకి? అలాగంట ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ ట్రైంగ్ టు లెర్న్. అది ఈ విషయం నాన్నగారు చాలా ఇంప్రెస్డ్. అసలు ఆ డిస్కషన్ గురించి ఆయన తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు నాకు చెప్పారు. అది జస్ట్ గివ్ యూ అన్ ఐడియా. ఈజ్ ఏబుల్ టు టాక్ టు దట్ జనరేషన్ అండ్ ఇంప్రెస్ దెమ్, talk to obviously our generation and also talk to the next generation. We are very proud of Raghu, and with that I want to call Vishal Bajwada. He's going to host the session. Vishal is I remember Vishal when we started the kickoff for TANA Conference, and he brought in so much enthusiasm and energy that kind of helped us to kickstart, even though we started a little late. And ఈసారి తానా కాన్ఫరెన్స్ స్లోగన్ ఏమో తరతరాల తెలుగుతనం, తరలి వచ్చే యువతరం అని పెట్టినందుకు ఈసారి యువతరం దే ఆర్ రియలీ డూయింగ్ వెరీ వెల్. ఐ రియలీ హ్యాపీ టు ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ విశాల్ ఫర్ దిస్.
Now we're good. Thank you so much for that, Hanmai Garu and Ravi Garu. You guys have seen his parents. Raghu is not only just a CEO, he's a leading Telugu CEO. I don't know about all of you guys, but yes, congratulations to uncle and auntie. You guys produced a gem, but he is making me proud. As a Telugu person, I feel proud that Raghu is Raghu. So Raghu, we would like to have you up on stage and say a few words. So you guys are all gonna have a chance to ask him questions later, so just wait till that. So, Raghu, you were born in India with Telugu roots and now lead one of the largest companies in the digital asset space that trades over $1 trillion a year. Take us back to the beginning. What was the journey that brought you to the US and put you on the founder path?
First off, it truly is a very special moment for me. A lot of friends, family, and a lot of people I look up to in life. To be speaking in front of all of you, I think it's an extraordinary moment. I'm also scared because my daughters are sitting there, Sanvi and Ashri. So it's a very special moment. But before I jump in, I just want to understand the audience a little better. I want to see how many of you are familiar about Bitcoin. Whoa, that's impressive. How many people are familiar about crypto in general? That's amazing. I have to ask because it's TANA, how many doctors in the audience? Clearly. So, and how many people are currently working in a job? Perfect. How many entrepreneurs in the audience? This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Manu, we can have a good conversation. Please ask as many questions. I just want to keep the conversation going with questions as well. Now, specific to Vishal's question, and also quickly, I want to thank Hanmai Garu, Ravi Garu, and Vishal. This is a huge opportunity. Thank you. So in terms of background, I was born in Vijayawada. Instead of a conventional introduction for myself, I'll tell you a very personal intro. When I was a kid, my father gave me remarkable clarity. He said, and I come from a family of doctors, as you've seen. He looked me into the eye and he said, "You'll never be a good doctor." He said it very clearly. And I was like, yes. I don't have the pressure of family. I can do whatever I want. And I say that partly as a joke, but partly as following my own passion. I don't think I would have been a good doctor. As Ravi Garu was telling, I don't know why. I'm very curious by nature. And for me, engineering fulfilled that curiosity. So from a background perspective, born in Vijayawada, after that did my master's here in University of Texas. Then I was fortunate to have worked at Motorola. Before YouTube and Netflix and all these things became mainstream, how do we move high quality video over internet? It's a big challenge. And I was very proud to have worked on that initiative that laid the foundation for YouTube, Netflix, and all these modern streaming platforms. And then I got terrible advice. Advice emicharante, some of my closest friends and family, they said, if you're just an engineer, you can't successfully build ideas and take them to the market really well. You need to go to business school. I was joking when I said terrible advice, but I was very fortunate to have gone to Harvard Business School. Right after HBS, I was about to start a company, and it was a very important phase in life where My funding was secured. They were great investors. Great set of colleagues that I know from the previous life and from business school. We are all about to start a company. But then I got a small opportunity to speak with Sundar, who is now the CEO of Google and Alphabet. At that point, he was VP of Chrome, one out of the many VPs. It was a brief conversation, but it was so inspiring, and he was so incredibly humble that for the first time in life, I felt my curiosity all my life was on technology. How is this phone built? Dintlo ఏ software ఉంటుంది, ఏ chips ఉంటాయి. The first time I felt in life that I'm not going to chase technology anymore. I'm going to chase this person. So what I felt was, I don't know the specific role that I'm going to be doing at Google. The only wish that I had was, I'm going to work for Sundar in some capacity. So there's a difference between trust and faith. This was more faith. I was jumping in, not knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing. I just wanted to follow this human being who is Sundar. Turns out, it was an incredibly risky decision at that point. I didn't pursue my startup idea. Funding was secure. My friends were disappointed. My wife was like, are you sure? Right? And who is incredibly supportive. But turns out it's one of the best decisions that I made in terms of following a person and learning everything that I can from him. So I worked for 3.5, 4 years at Google on a variety of different things. Notably, I worked on a project called Chrome Operating System, which is a derivative of Chrome OS. And we launched Chromebooks in schools, and we got incredibly lucky. After that, I saw a very unique problem at Google. Some of the brightest engineers that I know at Google, I wasn't very excited about Bitcoin or crypto. And yes, I mean, I did buy some, like a lot of you perhaps. I felt that, like, this is not a game-changing technology. I didn't understand why people are chasing it. But the brightest engineers at Google, including some of whom started Google with the founders, they were like, this is going to be a game-changing technology for the next 20 years. So that is how I got exposed. And if you're interested, I can go deeper into why and what and how. But once I spoke with the engineers and once I started seeing the world they're seeing in terms of why blockchain and Bitcoin is important, that got me very excited. And we started FalconX about 7 years back.
Wow. Okay. You're a very interesting person. But not only is it that you do FalconX and crypto, one of the things you do is you're a charitable person. మీరు ఇండియాలో స్కూళ్ళు కడతారు. What led you into the education and charitable thing, and how did that help you in your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah. So my mom is a teacher. Her name is Sarada. One of the things that I felt, నేను HBSకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు, హార్వర్డ్ బిజినెస్ స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు, that was a very profound moment అండి. అంటే it was a dream come true. I met some incredible people there. After 1 or 2 years, it's a 2-year program, full-time business program. After the first year, my biggest realization is HBS is one of the best business schools in the world. I was very fortunate and humble. For the first 4 or 5 months, I was like, they made a mistake with my application and somehow got here. I didn't fully, understand why I was there, but I got very lucky and I was excited. But after a year, what I realized is, there are a lot of people in this room, and there are incredible people in the Telugu community and places like Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. There are incredible people who deserve to be here, but they're not here simply because they don't have access. They don't have well-rounded education, and they simply don't have the connections to actually go to a place like that. It's not that, we don't have an understanding. It is simply the question of access. అది తెలిసినప్పుడు నాకు చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్ ఏమనిపించిందంటే, it shouldn't take someone 25 years to build this access. There are incredible people sitting in this room. There are incredible people in Telugu states. So why are we not giving them the access and providing the well-rounded education? So that is one side of the story. The other side of the story is, between both my parents, my dad is the logical one and my mom is the passionate one. Once my mother locks onto an idea, custom, it is a lot of problem. And she fell in love with, I want to start a school that creates well-rounded education. Nakemanpichindante, yes, we can start something like a Chaitanya or a Narayana, but let's actually figure out how to create well-rounded education so that we find extraordinary people and give them access to something like a Harvard or a Cornell or whatever is the great school that may be. So with that initiative, both me and my mom and a few other family members, we started the school. If our mission is pure, if our dream is humble, the way to measure it is, sometime in the next 5 years, we'll send one student from Sarada Educational Institution to Harvard. Ani, we started with that goal. Thank you. Credit to her, actually. Now, the interesting thing is, the very first batch, almost very first section, there's a girl from Sarada Educational Institutions who got admitted to Harvard Medical. That was incredibly proud. So Vishal, going back to your question, why did we start that? I think on one side, creating well-rounded education is one of the pillars for the society. And in the intro, people were very nice and humble in terms of how they introduced me. Now I feel that I'm at the right place, right time, more than yanni anukuni and extraordinary cheyalani. Life needs to have some luck, purpose, and hard work. I got lucky, and it's my way of paying forward.
Wow. Okay. So I know andaru chala mandi chetlitaru crypto and bitcoin telusa ani adugute, but for the people that don't know, even some of the people that put their hands up, let's just start with the basics. What is crypto, digital assets? Can you run us through that, please?
Sure. So I'll talk about two different concepts, Andy. And if you have questions, raise your hand, we'll take some questions. So I'll talk about blockchain, I'll talk about Bitcoin. I'll start first about Bitcoin. Why was it fascinating to me? There is one thing that I noticed in India when I was growing up. It's not a bad thing. Whenever the society runs into a problem, we print a lot of money, right? So what we do is if there's a problem somewhere and we want to actually improve the society around it, we print a lot of money. But if you keep printing money infinitely, ultimately what will happen is the money will not have value, right? If you have $1,000, 1,000 rupees in your pocket, and if the government prints another $1 billion, your $1,000 in your pocket is not going to be as effective. Inflation. So India, I felt that we are printing a lot of money. It's not a bad thing. Maybe US is different than US. We are printing a lot of money, right? You're talking about tens of trillions of dollars of debt. And the reason why I bring that up is, if we didn't print enough money, we would have not made through COVID as comfortably as we did. There would have been a lot of job loss, severe difficulties in the society. So we printed a lot of money. But the problem is, the more you print, the less is the valuable is the money that you have. So that concept, Andy, that's not changing in the last 40, 50 years. It is going on. Any country in the world that you take, that's the exact same story. So in a world where you're printing a lot of money, finite assets, physically finite assets like gold is important. I'll give you a very quick anecdote. Recently, my grandmother passed away in Vijayadella, and intlo we had some help who was with my grandmother till the last days. So I mean, brahmananga chuskunnaru ammamni. And after she passed away, Amma elli tanaki, she gave money, meaningful amount of money that she couldn't resist. Money is there. Then I was sitting there, I was not involved. Money is there. There's something that extraordinary happened. I don't think Petta Chadukoledu, right? She didn't have high school education or anything like that. She did something tremendous. She said, "Double ivvattamma, kari pote ventane." Bangaru enne ivandi annaru. That is brilliant, right? So she said that, and I don't know if it's because of the security within a family or like, gold aithe untundi, rupees pothe. I don't know any of that, but that is our tradition. There is very deep meaning to that tradition on why we put some of the money in gold. But I do think we buy a lot of gold. అది పక్కన పెట్టి. So the world needs gold. ప్రపంచానికి ఎంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ because it's a very finite asset. Bitcoin seems to be a digital equivalent of gold. The amount of Bitcoin that there will be on the planet is fixed. No company, no country, no dictator, and no society can say that I'm going to print another million Bitcoin. So antakani, because of the digitally finite aspect of Bitcoin, it's becoming more interesting. But I want to caution this very carefully. I don't recommend, none of this is financial advice, and I don't recommend putting all of your wealth in Bitcoin. That's dangerous. I don't have all my wealth in Bitcoin. But when I look at my customers, we are one of the largest platforms in the world for digital assets, and I'll talk about that in a second. If I look at the type of people who are buying Bitcoin, you have corporations buying Bitcoin, you have individuals buying Bitcoin, you have countries now thinking about buying Bitcoin, and you have sovereign wealth funds buying Bitcoin because of the digitally finite aspect of it. So that is what was very interesting to me. So that is one reason. The second aspect, under beyond Bitcoin, I'll keep this one short. One of the most interesting things about finance, the best financial services under banking, and you should be able to safely store money, you should get interest, you should be able to withdraw this whenever you want, and you should be able to take a loan. Let's call all of these things banking anukunte. Very small portion of the society has access to good banking. One of the painful things in Telugu states, is there are farmers who commit suicide simply because they don't have access to good banking. They take predatory loan in a small village where your reputation is everything, is your life. Varsham padakapothe, you can't pay the loan back, and when you can't pay your loan back, your respect goes away, and you commit suicide. Adi, how is that acceptable in the modern world? Varsham మీద ఒక మనిషి లైఫ్ ఉండటం ఏంటి? So the reason why Atlani, it's not lack of trying. The government, this is, by the way, this is story not just in India, it happens in a lot of other countries too. The government tried a lot to put banks that take to the base of the pyramid. Kani inka, there are crores of people in India, crores of people in Africa and many places where they still don't have banking. Why? The conventional bank technology is not good enough to serve the last farmer that is sitting in a village in India. Now, you pair that with this example. How many people think, pick a village of your choice in India. Almost every single family, every single village has this, right? Cell phone untundi, internet untundi.
Smartphone.
Yeah, smartphone. That's actually a very good point. It's not just any cell phone. A cell phone that's capable of browsing the internet with extremely cheap internet connection. So what blockchain does is, it can put a bank, a global bank, in every phone that's on the planet. So I think that's a powerful vision. See, blockchain and crypto, there are some negative aspects of it. There is some fraud, like with any new technology. With the hope on the other side, other than Bitcoin, the hope is, the power of blockchain is you can create bank accounts, you can create financial literacy and financial access to almost every human being on the planet with the technology that we have today. That's a very interesting, exciting mission. So that's another reason, why crypto, why it matters.
For someone new to this industry, and by the way, you can have some water at any point in time, but what exactly is Bitcoin and how is it used today?
So Bitcoin anedi, a good example of this, all of you have smartphones, right? In smartphones you have applications. Chrome browser noktaru, Gmail noktaru, WhatsApp, all these things are applications. Bitcoin is something very similar. Bitcoin is an application that sits on this system called a blockchain. And Bitcoin specific, what is the unique property of it? Fixed. No one can change the amount of Bitcoin that will ever exist. And it's not as difficult to move as gold. మీ ఇంట్లో మంచం కింద పెట్టుకోక్కర్లేదు, it's safely and securely stored somewhere. So it's much more mobile, much more portable. So that is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is an application of blockchain as a technology stack.
What exactly is a digital asset institutional digital asset prime broker? And yeah, break that down for us, please.
Sure. FalconX is a digital asset brokerage. I know it's a lot of fancy words, but it's very simple. What we do is, we don't serve retail very much. We primarily serve institutions. Who are these institutions? A big sovereign wealth fund, or a hedge fund, or a prop shop, or a big shop that trades their own money, or a corporation that's thinking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We serve institutions, and for these institutions, we do three things. Just like the same farmer example, we help these institutions buy, sell any digital asset. That's the trading side of it. We help these institutions get loans and get credit, and we help these institutions move all these digital assets anywhere in the world that they want. So FalconX does three things for institutions: trading, short-term financing, clearing. Clearing is moving. And we are one of the largest in the world, if not the largest. This was a special moment. We moved around $1 trillion of money with 25 people in Bangalore. The world's most efficient bank. Thank you. That's also the power of blockchain. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. The most efficient bank in the world, New York Wall Street, loan a bank, $1 trillion, అంటే $1 trillion అంటే 1 పక్కన 12 zeros. $1 trillion move చేయాలంటే they need usually 300 to 400 people. Bangalore Goldman Sachs office పక్కన FalconX is a very small office. వాళ్ళకి ఒక 5-floor building ఉంటే మనకు ఒక building లో ఒక చిన్న fraction. But the 25 people in FalconX sitting in Bangalore moved $1 trillion of money in about a year or so. That's because blockchain is so much more efficient than the traditional finance and the traditional financial rails. So to answer your question, FalconX is a brokerage that works with institutions. The second thing that we do is, for a lot of you, okay, this Bitcoin thing is interesting, let me access anukunte. It's important that you go to people that you trust. Finance is all about trust. Trust is very important. And when you go, if you're banking with State Bank of India, that's the entity that you trust. So what FalconX does is, but State Bank of India might not have all the technology to support Bitcoin, blockchain, and all of that. So what we do is, we give all of the technology to the financial players that you trust so that they can serve you any digital asset that you want.
Okay, you already mentioned an office in Bangalore. You have offices globally. Can you tell us a bit about your hiring strategy?
So I think I'll zoom out a little bit in terms of how I think the next 2 to 5 years in the world are going to be. And then I'll tie the hiring strategy if you don't mind. The next 2 to 5 years are going to be incredibly exciting because in the last 5 years we built technologies that are incredibly powerful. We spoke about crypto. Crypto is one of them. But every single person in this room should understand the basics of what's happening with AI, artificial intelligence. It'll fundamentally change how society operates. I'm excited, and for the first time, then as an engineer, I was never scared about technology. Scared, maybe, or fear is probably not the right word, for the first time, I'm concerned about a technology like AI. I'll tell you why. In the next 1 year, you will create systems. Now it's not just a probability or science fiction anymore. In the next 1 year, most people in the world think, most technologists in the world think, we will create AI systems that are as intelligent as a Vishal or any of you or me. So I'll repeat that again. So in the next 1 year, you'll create human scale intelligence in a machine. So 30 days from the day you create that, what will happen is, now, once you put something in machine, what's the power of a machine? You can make 1 billion of those very fast, right? So in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days after you create this intelligence, you can replicate it very fast. All human beings on the planet, we are about 8 billion people. Of that, like in about 3 to 4 to 5 billion people work. We have jobs, and that's what the society is based on. Now suddenly if you create 1 billion agents that will never ask you a question, that will work 24/7, that doesn't need to eat or sleep, that's a scary prospect. Now as a society, we should think about what's the implication of it. So the reason why I mentioned all of that is, but AI is also going to create tremendous outcomes. It's going to solve or cure some of the most dangerous, difficult diseases that we've seen. It's going to make, the world much more democratic. A farmer will have access to amazing financial services and financial advice, not just Wall Street anymore. So AI, while it creates these tremendous opportunities, but there are these concerns. So if you look at AI, crypto, these are revolutionary technologies. In the revolutionary technologies, everyone in this room, we should take sufficient risk in our careers. Otherwise, we'll be outdated. That is one philosophy. The second thing is, the world is going to get even more global. Because through Bangalore, if you can move $1 trillion efficiently, and we don't do business in India, we're just using our human talent in India to move $1 trillion worldwide. What that means is, anywhere there is great talent can create tremendous opportunity in the world. So that is why we believe that it's important to build global companies with offices around the world. Crypto is also 24/7. If you have an office here in the US, we need to have something on the other side of the world to serve the customers, when we're sleeping. But number two, talent is going to be spread out even more around the world. That is why we have offices worldwide, and specifically Bangalore. And India has tremendous opportunity in the next 5 years. I think India as a country 20 years back, it's a controversial thing to say, we missed the boat. Remember 20 years back, early 2000, we all used to think, China, India, China, India. China did well. We have another opportunity where India can do phenomenally well over the next decade if we invest into the right things.
Can you also walk us through the state of the digital asset industry in India, and how is that economic impact of the industry on the country?
Yeah, I think India, as many of you know, they've been very cautious for the right reasons with blockchain, Bitcoin, and all of these technologies. Because as powerful as these technologies are, they can be used by good people and bad people. So a lot of finance is about control and making sure that the bad people don't have access to money as freely, right? So Indian government is definitely thinking about ways on how to launch these technologies but keep them very safe and secure so that the societal fabric is not disturbed too much. So India as a government now, to the extent that I understand, they are thinking about, we are the largest democracy in the world. Now, the largest democracy in the world, just deserves to have access to gold, also deserves to have access to Bitcoin. And ultimately, people should decide. That's the power of democracy. But how do you give safe access? And it's a very important thing. So that's what the government is working with. We are doing our part in terms of figuring out how to give safe access. We won't be retail facing, but we hope to light up different institutions in India that provide access to digital assets once government is completely aligned. I don't think we're very far away. When I say far away, it's like definitely not once. But there is some very good work that's being done to basically provide safe access, starting with Bitcoin and potentially others in the next few years.
Why did you choose to build in crypto? What gap did you see in the market?
Yeah, two reasons. Why crypto? I think we spoke about the technologies, right? AI, crypto, these things are radically reshaping how the world works. Now, when the world is changing so much, if you don't take sufficient risk in your career, we'll be left behind. A good example is, if you have 1,000 rupees in your bank, the world is inflating at, let's say, 10%, and your bank is giving you 1% interest. Until just by the virtue of not doing anything, you're losing 9% money. The same thing applies to jobs as well, right? If you're not taking sufficient risk in your career, the world is going to move past you. So for me, when I was thinking about post-Google, I wanted to actually invest my time and resources in a place where there is high risk or high reward. And for me, compared to any other endeavors that I've seen, 2018 crypto was very controversial. It was not a good industry to work on. Institutions didn't exist. Governments didn't understand. Every government was targeting crypto. But some of us believe that this technology is going to be groundbreaking. It took 8 long years. Now people are like, this is extraordinary, but 8 years back, you're banished. So fortunately, that risk panned out, but if you don't take that sufficient risk, the world will evolve past you. So that's a big reason why I felt starting a crypto company is the right thing.
Okay. We also do know that you're involved in DC and you've attended the White House Summit. Tell us what your experience was like there and why is it important in your industry?
Yeah, irrespective of the politics, I don't follow politics too much here in the US or back in India. But irrespective of the politics, it was a privilege that a sitting president invited few CEOs to come to the White House. I was fortunate to be a part of that group. And first thing about White House, it is not a house, it's a museum. They hosted us incredibly well. And Machla called these Kunani, I was about to sit in the chair. And someone came and said, you know what, that chair is where they signed this big treaty. Okay, maybe I shouldn't sit there. No, you can sit. No, chair oh, that is where India gift chair. So it's just incredible collection of history, and it's more of a museum, and they hosted us incredibly well. But more importantly, irrespective of the politics, Andy, I think I believe in the technology, and it's important to play a constructive dialogue when the world is asking about this technology. So it was fun. It was fun and it was scary.
So that means you were with Sundar also at the time?
So yes, Sundar was there in the Vice President ball and I've seen him after a while. I've seen Sundar there. But the White House Summit was specifically with crypto CEOs. They invited 24 crypto CEOs, 24 or 25, I forget the name. Yeah. Yeah.
He just casually just said, yeah, I got invited to the White House and put it in such simple terms. Those who follow the crypto markets know how volatile the market has been. What keeps you going every day?
Yeah. If you're thinking about a career in cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and any of these things, it's a very hard industry. It's a hard industry because it moves incredibly fast. Because 24/7, most of your financial markets don't work after, let's say, 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the night, right? But crypto works 24/7. The power of it is, let's say you're an employee who wants to get a home loan. You have to go to the bank in the middle of the week. There's no other way. But crypto, because it works 24/7, you have access to banking and all the services all the time. But the downside is, if you're working in the industry, you're on 24/7, right? It's a very dynamic industry. So your question, I appreciate it. It's a hard, exciting, challenging, very promising industry. Now, what keeps me going? I think for me, like, Ravi was mentioning this, right? I mean, I'm curious. I want to understand how the world works. The rate at which crypto moves and innovates and evolves is so interesting. And for me, that curiosity keeps going. And the second thing, we'll talk about entrepreneurship towards the later part of it, or AI, whichever area you guys have questions in. Entrepreneurship is also a family sport, and like, it's easy to basically celebrate an entrepreneur with an award and putting them in the stage and talking. But behind every entrepreneur, there is a spouse, kids and parents. There is the community, in my case, the Telugu community. And there's a whole country that tremendously favored all of us. I mean, to pursue engineering education, to come to the US, like, the banks that provided services. So, Antkani, entrepreneurship is a team sport, and what keeps me going? I'm very thankful the support structure was there behind me.
Question.
Yeah.
What keeps you wake up in the middle of the night?
So the question, me parenting?
Bhaskar.
Bhaskar. The question from Bhaskar is, what keeps you up at night? Bhaskar, there are a lot of things that are keeping me up at night. No, in a good way. I think for me, the thing that's keeping me up at night is the next 2 to 5 years, there's tremendous amount of disruption. We should all think about how we are investing our money, where we're doing our work, or what is our job, and what is our dream and goal for the next few years. A clarity unte, you can take advantage of all these technologies that come. If you don't have clarity, or you don't have a big dream, somebody else who has the dream is going to hire you and make you work. So this is an exceptional time to pause, to think what you want in the next 2 to 5 years, and take that sufficient risk. What keeps me up at night, Bhaskar, is I always question, am I taking sufficient risk? What else can we be doing? Because the minute that I'm not thinking somebody else is, that keeps me up at night. Yeah.
We got another question.
Yeah, in general, I'll ask you a question on the behalf of all the group.
One mic off చేశాను.
No, ask a question, I'll repeat it.
Yeah, no mind.
ఇప్పుడు చాలా మంది ఇక్కడ తెలుగులో చెప్తారు. కాలువల్లో చేపలు పట్టుకునేవాళ్ళు ఉంటారు, నదుల్లో చేపలు పట్టుకునేవాళ్ళు. మీ ఉద్దేశం ప్రకారం సముద్రంలో చేపలు పట్టుకుంటే మోర్ చేపలు ఉంటాయి అంటారు. నేనేమనుకుంటానంటే మోర్ రిస్క్ ఉంటున్నాను. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఆన్సర్ కన్వర్టింగ్ టు ద క్రిప్టో?
Well, such a good question. I don't know if I can do justice translating this fully. The question is, you can fish in a small, you can catch fish in a small pond, you can catch fish in a river, and you can catch fish in the ocean. Obviously, ocean has a lot of fish, but ocean has a lot of risk too. Now, how do you choose between all these different things? And then tied to crypto. It's a great question. What's your name?
Anil.
Anil. A question from Anil. So, the way I think is, as much as we all think that, I'm fishing in a pond, I want to go to the ocean, but I don't have the resources. The one thing I realized, I was very fortunate to work with some extraordinary people. We've discussed some of those names. Recently, I was very humbled. I got a chance to meet with, Sam Altman, who's now currently running OpenAI. I can humbly say, I think all of us in this room, and all the people outside this room, we pretty much have the same ingredients that makes up Sam. Most of the times we think, oh man, Sam is probably more intelligent than us, maybe Sam has more resources than us. Yeah, maybe yes and no. A little bit more intelligence, a little bit more resources. But I think what makes Sam a Sam, what makes Elon Musk an Elon Musk, and what makes an Anil, is the perseverance, the dreams, and the ambition. Manu, with the technologies that you have, with the AI, you will see world creating a $1 billion company with 10 people. That was not possible 5 years back. because you couldn't have hired engineers. Now, one recent AI agent won the world's coding competition. It came in the top 200 human beings in the coding competition. What that means is you can hire a top 200 engineer in the world in the next second and make that engineer do anything that you want him, that agent to do. The reason why I'm telling this first, the difference between a Sam Altman or an Elon Musk or a Sundar and you is just the ambition and the perseverance to go after that ambition. That's it. Now, if that is it, we can all go to the ocean and fish. But sometimes life doesn't allow you sometimes, right? I mean, because entrepreneurship is a very family-oriented thing. Because as a couple, you go through a lot. You go through these tremendous highs and tremendous lows. So before you go to the ocean and fish, I think it's very important to ask your parents and your spouse and your kids, are we ready to go to the ocean? Because I'm not the only one who's going to go to the ocean. Because don't lose that battle at the house. Because the minute, there's a beautiful proverb in Telugu, Intagelchi Ranchagalato or something like that. This is where my dad gets annoyed about me because Telugu Sarigara. But anyways, the point that I'm making is, everyone has access to that ocean better than any other point in history of time. We all have access to that ocean because of the internet, the AI, crypto, tokenization, all of that. Now it's up to you to figure out when you want to go to the ocean. I want to make sure that you have support of the family and take advantage of the communities like TANA to find people to get access to the resources and understand. And once you have that, you should not hesitate to go to the ocean. Stretching your logic to another point, we should not hesitate to leave this planet and aspire to live in another planet either. Because that is the amount of change we'll see in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Now, crypto is fishing in an ocean, to answer your last part. There is, yeah.
Myself, Janaya Kotandi, నేను అగ్రికల్చర్ ఫోరం లీడ్ చేస్తాను తానాలో. My question is specific to the farmers. How we can leverage these technologies to support Indian farming community to have a better price for their produce and sell their produce. There are commercial crops. Like for example, chili has a lot of potential to sell across the world. How we can leverage these blockchain technologies?
Love the question. And your name again, I'm sorry?
Janaya.
Janaya. So the question is, how can we use all these technologies to create benefit to the farmer that we spoke about, right? So in my opinion, farming on the financial side of farming, like, you need access to credit. That is one aspect. And to buy farming is very capital intensive. Other than land, you need to go buy the seeds. You need to go buy all the equipment to basically till. You need to commit to basically investing 6 months of your life to put all of this. And what happens if it doesn't rain? And what happens if there's a pest and infestation? So farming needs a lot of capex, capital expenditure. Daniki loans kavali. That's number one. Number two, what the US did extraordinarily well, it established a commission called CFTC. Like, for all the commodities, this is the agencies that actually dictates how commodities should be traded. You can have advanced financial instruments called derivatives that can take out that risk. Meaning, I'm going to basically invest into farming, but if it doesn't rain, I want to get some money back. The farmers in the US have access to financial instruments like that. You can hedge a wheat future that reduces a ton of risk for a wheat farmer here in the US. Why is a farmer in India not having those financial instruments? I think we can provide access to blockchain. A, basic banking. B, credit facilities. C, derivatives instruments. This is something that we're thinking about. We're like, there are a couple of people in India who want to create that, but I think we are 1 or 2 years behind it. Because if there is a trader in Wall Street who want to bet on, whether it's going to rain in Godavari, as a result crop yield ostundani, there are people willing to take that bet. They simply don't have access to it. If you match the trader in Wall Street with the farmer, both of them will benefit. So those are the things that I think, sure.
One more point. We can add decentralized autonomous organizations and club the farmers into groups and connect to the central government. That's where we can focus what's the produce and what the prices we can
మీ పేరండి?
Venkat.
Venkat. So Venkat has a really interesting point. I completely agree. This is the fourth thing I mentioned about banking, like credit and derivatives. He mentioned about something like credit unions. Indiaలో we ఏంటారండి? Cooperatives, co-ops, right? I mean, co-ops are, instead of going to a bank, farmers అందరూ కలిసి, we collectively bargain, we collectively give credit to each other. Co-ops worked extraordinarily well. In milk industry, I think it revolutionized milk industry. But co-ops problem ఏంటంటే accounting, ledgers ఇవన్నీ ఉండవు. Now what you can do is, me and Venkat can start a co-op on blockchain in like 30 seconds and make it accessible anywhere in the world. So I think co-ops and credit unions will fundamentally be revolutionized, because the ledgering in financial, because it's all immutable and it's on the cloud, you can't deny that. Everu misuse చేయడానికి funds కానీ, and trackability is going to be really good. So I'm excited about farming, all this revolution.
Thank you.
Wait, guys, we are going to do a Q&A towards the end of it. So yeah, ఇంకా చాలా questions ఉన్నాయి. Yeah, Q&A, we're going to have a good, decent session Q&A. We have a bunch of questions. There's still a lot of knowledge that Raghu has to spit for us. So we're going to ask. So Raghu, one thing we learned from you today is you are very passionate and vocal about AI. Falcon X actually has its own AI product, Focal. How do you use AI? Could you please walk us through that?
Sure. I have a background in machine learning. I build products with machine learning, but in the last 2 years, there was a major breakthrough in machine learning called generative artificial intelligence, generative AI antar. So a company that uses generative AI that all of you know is called OpenAI. Okay. What was the breakthrough? Last 20 years ago, we had this technology called machine learning. Machine learning at like a lot of times your computers, your phones and everything, they simply react to your command, and they'll only react in a way where you need to program it specifically that if you encounter this input, this is the output. You need to program it. The computer doesn't think. It's just executing somebody else's programming. Machine learning is, you can not only absorb the inputs, but the machine can slowly learn and understand human behavior. For example, మీరు ఫేస్బుక్ ఓపెన్ చేసినప్పుడు కానీ, or Googleలో న్యూస్ ఫీడ్ if you scroll, it kind of understands what you like and it gives you more of that. But a programmer in Mountain View, California is not going to understand Venkat's preferences and program specifically for Venkat. It's going to be very expensive. So they started building machine learning to customize what Venkat needs, and machines will customize. That's machine learning. But by the way, I'm generalizing extremely complex topics into very simple things. So the generalization will have some errors. Now, the problem with machine learning is you need so much data to customize. These machines are not as advanced as humans. The beauty of a human, a 5-year-old girl, even if you don't teach anything about cars and roads and all of that, if a car is coming very fast, the 5-year-old girl stops. That instinct for safety and all of that stuff. Humans are very good at learning things from very small batches of data. Machines are horrible at doing that. Or at least that's what we thought until about 2 years back. Now the minute generative AI came in, the advance is it is almost zero-shot learning, meaning a machine can now adapt to circumstances and create outputs without having seen that scenario ever before. Self-driving cars, you can't program a car to do specific things because the conditions on the road changes a lot. So that is generative AI. Now specifically what Falcon X does is, we have an AI platform that is very specific to finance. And the purpose of that is, if you're making a financial decision, if you're buying a stock, selling a stock, or giving loan, this machine on your behalf is reading all the news there is on the planet. It's reading all the social media posts. It's reading any of your accounts that you have. It'll crunch all of that and give you a good financial advice. Right? So that's what we're trying to do. Every institution on the planet should have amazing, analysts on demand to help them navigate the financial decisions that they need to make. Think of it like a agent or an analyst on hire in the cloud.
Okay. Can you share some of your learnings of building Falcon X that apply to your personal life?
It's a good question, Vishal.
Thank you, I tried.
I think one of the most sought after skills in the next 5-10 years is not your understanding of AI and it's not your understanding of machine learning. The most sought after skill in the next 5-10 years is persistence and attention span. I think all of you notice something with the society now. ఏంటంటే మన attention spans అన్నీ తగ్గిపోతున్నాయి. Now, I think the attention span of the society is at 60 seconds. I'm just making that up as an example. Now, in a society where attention spans are reducing, the most important skill to have is that focus and longer attention spans and persistence. నేను Falcon X-లో నేర్చుకుంది ఏంటంటే, to the question that Vishal asked, it was your persistence and attention span paired with the right technology can create tremendous value. Now, if there is one thing that I'm trying to teach my daughters, it is that focus, aka attention span, and persistence. You could pick soccer or dancing or piano, I don't care which you pick. But once you pick something, lock onto that for 4, 5, 7 years. Right? So, yeah.
How do you stay connected to your Telugu roots while building a global company?
I think the Telugu community, India, gave me a tremendous amount. I have to pay it forward. Whether it's through schools or Falcon X or something, I need to figure out how to pay it forward more. But I'm deeply, deeply grateful in a very honest way that I'm truly standing on shoulders of extraordinary people. So that keeps me connected to the Telugu community. That's number one. Number two, on the selfish side, there is tremendous amount of talent. Tremendous amount of talent. There is tremendous amount of value systems. I think మనం persistence focus అని అనుకుంటున్నాం కదా. There's a lot of value system in India that gives you that humility. Religion is different from spirituality. India has been a very spiritual collection of kingdoms for thousands of years. And what spirituality gives you is very long-term focus. I just started listening to, I'm not very religious, but I just listened to Mahabharata. You're talking about 5-6 generations worth of focus there. So the point that I'm making is there's something very inherent to the spiritual side. Put religion on the side. The spirituality of India is going to be a differentiator going forward. The spirituality of the Telugu community, I believe, will be a differentiator. So that's the selfish side of me in terms of why I want to be plugged into the Telugu community even more.
Okay, so you have 2 daughters right there. How are you teaching them about building leadership and their cultural identity?
So I'll try to do something that is very, very, very risky. Every husband in the audience knows this. I want to ask this question to my wife. She's like, oh my God. So Deepti, Vishal, you should ask that question. How does it feel to be a wife of an entrepreneur and how do we raise kids?
Oh my God, this is stressful. Hi Andy, hi everyone. This is Deepti, very proud and wife of Raghu Yarlagada, and thank you so much TANA for recognizing him and presenting him the award of excellence. It's a challenge to raise a kids, and I work for Netflix. I'm an engineer there. I did do my sort of startup experience before Netflix. And a lot of people ask me this question, right? Hey, what it is to be a spouse of an entrepreneur? How are you managing? What's a family? How are you both thinking about raising your kids? So, To all of them, I think even Raghu did mention this before, it's definitely not one person's job. It's definitely a family and the support system that is needed to take it forward. And I did see extremely high risks and the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. So one day it will be, oh wow, the fundraising is close. I'm so excited. The product is launched. And the other day it's like, oh man, I have to figure out a different direction for this product altogether. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So many times I'm like, okay, do I understand this enough or not? You might not be somebody who understands this a lot, but you'll really feel the pressure of it. And this is what we both wanted to teach our kids. I wanted to talk about three things I think we constantly follow in our family, and this is what we are trying to educate the kids about. First, our family is always the constant. Entrepreneurship, or be it crypto or any other industry or the finance world, it has a lot of uncertainties. But we as a family, your spouse, your kids, your parents are the constants, so be the constants every time. The second thing is you have to celebrate wins. For our kids, Sanvi and Ashvi, be it soccer or dancing, we always appreciate what is that win looks like. Because once we celebrate win is when we actually truly understand what also losing is. And the same thing goes with Raghu as well, right? During the wins, and we celebrate wins so much, and that gives us this motivation to move forward as is. And finally, I would say we should have a pretty open conversation with everyone. We should treat our kids like equals. That would really give us a power of educating them the best. Yeah, I think I did my justice to this answer.
Yes. With Raghu's busy schedule, does he help at all at home? He does his job, wow.
He's a great husband and a great father.
Wow. Last question from our side, and then we're going to have a Q&A. We can actually get you guys up here. But Raghu, you've done a lot for many, many people around the world. What is your message to young Telugu professionals that are looking to make a global impact?
First off, I think I was so excited to see TANA Youth and all the activities that Vishal and team put together. I think that's incredible leadership, Vishal. So, what's my advice? I would say three things. The biggest asset in the next 2 to 5 years is going to be, number one, dreaming big. To his point, you don't need to fish just in a pond anymore. You can truly go to the ocean, whether you're a son of a farmer, son of a doctor, a son of the president. We all have similar access now. So dreaming big is extremely important, number one. Now, if you dream big and don't persevere with the dream, it's useless. Number two is the persistence to make your dream happen is going to be extremely powerful, number two. Number three, you can dream big, you can persist, but if you're scared all the time, the best in you will not come. The third thing is sufficient risk taking. So dream big, persist through your dreams, take sufficient risk. And the next 2 to 10 years belongs to those people who does these three things really well. Use the power of AI, machine learning, crypto, all these things are tools. But the real advantage is in your mind in terms of dreaming big, persistence, and taking sufficient risk.
Okay, we're going to start the Q&A. For all of you in the room, I just want to let you know the next session is the Agricultural Forum. Those guys are giving a lot of knowledge about agriculture in America. So stay for that session. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple questions. If you guys have questions, మీరు ఇటువైపు వస్తే స్టేజ్ మీద వచ్చి మైక్లో అనొచ్చు ఇక్కడికి వస్తారా రండి Okay, so, okay, we'll get one by one, and yes, let's get through these.
Yeah, and also I want to make sure that we're sensitive to time. It's 2:30. Let's take 3 questions. Yeah.
So, my name is Abhay Trande. I have a few questions too for you. One, you said sufficient risk. How do you measure the sufficient risk? Because every guy who's working a job wants to be an entrepreneur, what is sufficient risk? Second, why Howard? Why not Stanford? We are in Valley.
Great question. How do you measure sufficient risk? Like, taking sufficient risk is important, but how do you measure it? In my opinion, sufficient risk is a combination of two things. One, risk that your family is comfortable, that you're not fighting all the time. Because if you're stretching yourself and if the family is uncomfortable, then it's like you probably stretched it a little. Sorry, I think there's some echo, I'll go up. So make sure your family is in that comfort zone, but stretched and learning new things. That's one way of measuring risk. The other thing is, we should always be. That mic, I think. Thank you, Andy. Yeah. So the second part of sufficient risk is you should be uncomfortable, Andy. I think the world we are, we want to be fed, we want to sleep, we are comfortable all the time. But with that comfort, your ambition should be restless all the time. If you don't have that restlessness, somehow as a society we are saying restlessness is a bad thing. If you're not restless in your mind when you're comfortable, you are not taking sufficient risk. I hope I answered that question.
Why Howard? Why not Stanford?
I can't answer that. Just kidding.
Hi, Raghu. Congratulations. And I'm not going to ask you any tips about the trading of the crypto, definitely. But I didn't get any answers from you regarding, I know questions are asked. You see so many crypto are there. We know the top 10 or top 20. What is that, which coin or which industry, like a Cardano or either, what is the fascinates you of all the coins? I mean, I didn't get any information about that. What is it worries about you, or what is that which makes you ecstatic about this? Forget about Bitcoin. What are the other ones? Nobody is talking about the technology behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe there are gems still hidden, like 100th one, 120th coin.
Yeah.
Can you answer some of them?
For sure, Andy, that's a great question. The question is, like, you spoke about Bitcoin, but what about all these other thousands and thousands and thousands of crypto? First and foremost, crypto is inherently risky. You should understand. I don't put all my wealth in crypto, right? But some portion of exposure to a crypto that you believe in might not be a bad idea. Again, not financial advice. Bitcoin, the reason I like it is because it's tested for a very long period of time and it is digitally finite. That part is interesting. The rest of cryptos, I think Ethereum is programmable layer. We can get into a lot of those details. But I fundamentally feel that the rest of the crypto, there is a lot of promise, but along with that promise, there is a little bit more risk. We can take it offline as well, where we can have a conversation about all these different things. I usually don't endorse anything else, primarily because I don't want people to be buying without fully understanding.
Is stablecoin a better alternative for Bitcoin in terms of risk? Because stablecoin.
Yeah, stablecoins, yes. I don't compare a stablecoin to Bitcoin, primarily because what is a stablecoin? You take the US dollar and put it on blockchain, that's called a stablecoin. It's going to be $1 for the most part. So you're not taking you're not taking that much risk, right? It's pegged to the US dollar. It's not an investment vehicle though. It won't appreciate. So that's why I think it's slightly different classes. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk. It was really insightful. My question is more so AI related. I was wondering, what advice would you give someone that's working with AI in healthcare?
Yeah. First of all, I'm fascinated by the problem that your startup is working on, right? I mean, that's very cool what you're trying to solve there. Advice to people who are getting into AI. I think what is very important to understand is, understanding AI doesn't mean that you have to understand the LLMs and how the code works and all of that stuff. It's good to understand, but not absolutely a must for everyone in this room. But what is important is, how do I use AI to create an outcome? That thinking is very important. Okay, I'm preparing for a talk. Let me research on all the talks that in TANA that's published on the internet. Let me see the type of audience. So using AI to actually do all of this research will save a tremendous amount of time for you. So instead of trying to worry about the technology of AI, try to understand what is the output that AI can give, and try to understand how to use these tools. Like in the history of human race, any human being that knows how to use the latest modern tools will ultimately control most of the resources. So AI is going to be one of the most important tools that we invented. So it's important for all of us to understand how to use that tool well. That's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. My question is kind of along the same lines on AI. Obviously, I also have some personal interest. My son is first year in undergrad. So I was wondering, what is the future of all these kids who are spending 10 years becoming a doctor, or 15 years, and other engineering fields? So is world going to change, like you said, in next 2 to 5 years, where AI agents will learn at much faster pace than us? So what happens to all the hard work we did all these years?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question from a mother. Yeah. So that's the question is, what happens to our kids? These guys are spending 5 years, 10 years in schools, colleges. They're working extremely hard. And in 2 to 5 years, if you have human level intelligence that's competing with these kids, what will happen? I'm actually concerned about that, to be very honest, because what the data says is entry level jobs are becoming harder. There is job loss in entry level, while mid level and slightly more experienced jobs, there are more openings, but entry level openings are actually reducing in certain sectors. So how do you differentiate? The answer is, it's a phenomenal question. For my kids, and what I would think about your kids is, first, AI is going to make entry-level jobs extremely complex. To penetrate the entry-level hurdle, the 2 or 3 characteristics that we look for in entry-level people is that ambition, that excitement, and the understanding of AI. Because the next 5 years, your job, and you won't be replaced by AI. You'll be replaced by another person who uses AI better than you. So I think the skills that they need to have is they need to understand AI really well, and the persistence, the ambition, those things go a long way. But I'm also concerned as a father.
Since this is a youth organized session, one of you does have a question. This is the last question, guys, and then we'll close it off.
Hello. Thanks for being here again. My question stems from like a more personal finance management aspect. I also why not ask someone who works in crypto. As a recent grad and someone who's just joined the industry, do you have a recommended action plan for investment? Should I add crypto into my portfolio? Yeah, I know that FalconX doesn't take on like individuals as clientele, take on enterprises. So our portal is usually Robinhood, for that matter, Charles Schwab.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I think to give any financial advice, I think you need to understand the person's context very, very deeply. But to what you mentioned about where you are, if you have a sufficient financial safety net, because you're very young, you have a tremendous career ahead of you, if you have a safety net, which is like, I'll have some money to eat, sleep, like, take care if I fall sick kind of a thing, you should be slightly more aggressive in terms of where you invest, because money compounds. One of the things, as FalconX, we see some of the richest people and how they're managing money. The power of money is when you have more of it, it compounds at an exponential rate. Now, it's not a bad idea to start making your money work since, at the onset of your career. So if I were to translate into practical advice, making sure that you have exposure to, the safest is treasuries, T-bills and all of that, but the stock market is interesting, real estate is interesting, and along with that, some portion in crypto that you believe in. Crypto inherently is risky again. If you have the financial safety net, you should get that exposure right across the stack. Governments are fine-tuned to make sure that real estate works, whether India or the US. So real estate is important. Stock market is an indicator of how an administration is doing. So having exposure to stock market. Crypto seems to be the future of financial technology, maybe some amount of crypto. So that's how I would think. Yeah?
Okay, and just say your name before you go.
Sai.
Okay, thanks for that, Sai. Raghu, from my side, that was really good. I would like to call up Dr. Hanumaya Garu just to close off our session today. And yeah.
Thanks. Hello. Thanks to all of you for coming to this session. We anticipated there would be a lot of interest in this subject. So our expectation was right. You saw how brainy Raghu is, and not only that, but he's also very personable, affable. He relates to you, like your own family member. So, and he has the command of the knowledge and the language to speak to us in the language that we understand. So Raghu, I just have one final comment and question. I heard this about 10, 15 years ago I think this is about entrepreneurs and the competition. So I heard that in order to stay where you are, you have to keep running. So who makes you keep running in your competition, and how do you handle that?
I'll give you a good live example. I mean, I was impressed by Hanumaya Garu and how he was thinking about the entire TANA events. And I was thinking, what drives him? Why is he spending so much time, effort, and what drives him? The inherent drive to give back to the community is something that I'm taking away from this weekend. It's his drive to give back to the community is what I think I could do a little better.
I think Vishal and his team did a great job. So when we initially thought of this, we weren't sure how we were going to do this. So then, we got the idea, let's get the youth involved because it's the future. All this Raghu is talking about is in our future. And I think they will be the ones that has to carry this thing out. Thank you, Vishal. Appreciate you and your team for everything.
And with that, I think we are good to go. Thank you to all of you that came, and let's give one more big round of applause for Mr. Raghu Yarnaganda.